For our next story, we go to Iraq. Now, in the run-up to the Iraq War, it became seen as almost un-American to even question why we were going to invade them. There was an almost feverish pitch to avenge the atrocities of 9/11. So, we went to war. Now, the problem with war is it's always worse than we think it's going to be. It's not manly bullet grazes on the shoulder. It's catheters and colostomy bags and never being able to walk again. And as I found out firsthand when I went there, sometimes the after effects of war are even worse. Now, this is what most people imagine when they think of the end of a war. Burnt out trucks, burnt out tanks, the flotsam and the jetsam of battle. One of the first ways that they found out about the environmental pollution was a lot of people were coming in with radiation poisoning and they couldn't figure out why. And then the doctors realized that they were all scrappers. They were coming here to take trucks and tanks and helicopters, all the disused scrap that had been blown up during the war. And then they realized that all of this stuff is actually radioactive. Now, of course, we all know that war is bad, but we don't know just how bad until it's over. Because the weapon systems used in modern warfare have horrific and enduring effects long after the fighting is stopped. In Vietnam, for example, the widespread use of the chemical compound known as Agent Orange, which was used by the American military, created a generation of deformed Vietnamese children that suffer to this day because of its toxic legacy. And an even more recent example of the toxic after effects of war is developing on the former battlegrounds of Iraq. The cities that experienced the heaviest fighting are now suffering through a tremendous rise in congenital birth defects and rare cancers. And the city worst hit is Fallujah. Fallujah was the focal point for some of the fiercest fighting during the occupation. 36,000 of the city's 50,000 homes were destroyed, along with 60 schools and hundreds of mosques. It was some of the most intense urban warfare experienced by the Marines since the Vietnam War. So without much information from the US military, it's been left to independent scientists and researchers to figure out what effects these weapons have had.
When you drop these bombs in an environment, what happens is that once that explosion occurs, fine particles that contain metals get spread all over the environment. It will enter the soil, it will enter the water, it gets taken up by plants. People who are in an area that's being bombed, it gets right into their system, and then slowly it exposes them from inside. These damages can be much more severe in a child or in a fetus because they don't have the detoxifying mechanisms that an adult body normally has. As early as 2005, there were reports of birth defects in various cities of Iraq. There was a 50% increase in the families that we studied in Fallujah. That's a huge, enormous jump. My best guess is that the source would have to be from military. There is no other source that I can attribute metal contamination to in these levels.
So we traveled to Iraq to visit Fallujah General Hospital and meet the doctors who are dealing with these toxic effects every day.